Hello guys, welcome back to this channel. Today I'll show you how to make this Bubu Dashiki dress with built-up collar. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so this will serve for the main material and it's an Adire Fabrics, and this crepe will also be used for this style. One will go for the sleeve, the other will go for the neck design. So here guys, I have the material folded and this is in 4 places if you check this side, and towards me over there, this is the front and it unfold over there, and here is the back also unfold. Okay, so one serve as the front, one serve as the back piece. And here guys, I'm just going to go ahead and measure the desired length for this dashiki, okay, and I'll be using the length of 39. Okay, so here guys, the first thing I did was to measure the shoulder measurement of 8 inches. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is to measure the length for the sleeve. Okay, so I'm just going to put my tape rule at the folded part over there, and I'm going to measure the desired sleeve length. So here I will just measure 20. Okay, and I'll indicate that. All right guys, so here we have our shoulder measurement and the rest of it will serve for the sleeve, and here we have 12 inches, meaning that 12 inches will be for the sleeve length. Okay, all right guys, so the next thing to do is to create the sleeve opening, and because this is a dashiki, we would be using either 13 or 14, and I will use 14 in this case. All right, and I'll just go ahead and connect that point to the shoulder line like so, and I will not be inserting any shoulder slant because this is a dashiki dress and we do not need that. Alright guys, so the next thing I'll do is to draft the neckline, and I'll be using 2 inches by 3 inches, the width 3 inches and the depth is 2 inches, and I'll just go ahead and connect it together. So here guys, I'll just go ahead and come to this bottom part, and I'm going to measure 15 inches, and that same 15 inches is what I'm just going to measure all the way up. Alright guys, so the next thing is to connect here, the sleeve area right there. We're going to connect it like so to this straight line we just marked. And here guys, I'll just come to this corner and create a kind of curve around the area, joining it together like this. Okay, and guys, this next part is also very important. I'll just come to this area and mark 1 inch, and that 1 inch marked, I'm going to connect it directly to the shoulder line in a slant way like this. This is to enable your sleeve relax on your body. And the next thing to do is to go ahead and cut out. Alright, so here it is after cutting it out. Here's the front and the back, and the next thing I'm going to do right now is to place the tape rule on the shoulder line and mark 2.5 inches. Okay, and this is to enable us create an asymmetric that we can see on the design. Okay, all right, so I'll just notch that 2.5 inches that we marked. All right guys, so what I'll do next is to separate both pieces. All right, and this one is going to serve as the back piece, and the next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to open up the back piece, and on the wrong side of the back piece I'm going to come to the shoulder area, and I'm just going to pick a side. So you remember that we notched the shoulder area. Okay, so I'm just going to come to that notched part, and I'm just going to connect it right to the neckline to create an asymmetric neckline. Okay, so just go ahead and connect it like that. So here is the new neckline that we have. I've already cut out the excess, and what I did earlier on was to connect from the notched area to the neckline, okay, to create our asymmetric. So the next thing we are going to do is to work on the front piece also. All right, so I'll just spread out the front piece right here, and what I will just do is come to the neckline area, and I'm just going to come down by 8 inches for the depth of the neckline for the front piece. Okay, and after coming down by 8 inches, I will also place my tape rule at the center and come in by half inches like so. And the next thing I'm going to do is to connect that half inches that we marked. I'll connect it right to the neckline. So here I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. All right, so after cutting it, I'll just give it like a notch around this corner here. Just as I marked it, I'll just go ahead and notch it a little bit. Okay, as you can see, just like an half-inch notch. All right guys, so here on the table is the back piece, and the wrong side of it is facing me, and I'll just go ahead and mark it again so that I don't get it mixed up. So I just flipped the back piece on the right side now, because I'm going to be placing the right side of the front piece on the right side of the back piece. And one thing you have to note is that area where we have the asymmetric, okay, that area where we went ahead and cut off 2.5 inches, it has to match with the right side. Okay, so it is very important that both the front and the back piece are lined. Okay, remember that we have asymmetric on the back side, on one side. Okay, and we are going to do the same for the front side. Okay, we are going to come in by 2 inches on the right side, and this is so that both front and the back side are lined. I'm just going to go ahead and fold the front piece like so. Okay, it is better to iron it so that you know the center of the front piece. So I just folded it, and I will just go ahead and mark the center of the front piece. So right on that center of the front piece right there, we are going to mark 2.5 inches away from the center. Okay, and we are going to connect that 2.5 inches that we mark up to that notched part of the shoulder. Okay, so that both the front and the back side are lined. So we're just going to cut out the excess. All right guys, so at this point the next thing to do is to take the back piece and the front piece right side facing the right side, and we're going to go ahead and connect the shoulder line together. And here I've already done that. I've connected the shoulder lines together, and the next thing we need to do is to attach our collar to the neckline, and to do that we need to measure what we have on the collar. Okay, so we're just going to measure all the way around the neckline so that we know what to cut out for our collar. And after getting the length of the collar, we are going to add allowance to the collar. Okay, about 1.5 inches allowance. All right, and to get the width of the collar, how wide it should be, you are just going to measure this wide part of the neckline where we have the asymmetric, which is 2.5 inches, and we are going to also add allowance to that, the stitching allowance. Okay, so that will be giving us around 3 inches, and that is what I've done here. I've already cut out the collar, and we are going to be attaching it right on the neckline. But before we go ahead and do that, you will notice that because this neckline is irregular, one part has 2.5, the other part here has about 1 inches. So we are going to put that into consideration. So on one part of this stripe that is going to serve as our collar, we are going to reduce part of it. That part that has about 1 inches, we're going to add about maybe an half an inch for sewing, allowance, and we are going to reduce this collar on that part. So I'm just going to go ahead and reduce it a little bit. And the next thing to do is to connect the collar right to the neckline. Alright guys, so this is what our dashiki is looking like at the moment, and if you observe, you'll see that I left about half an inch on this side of the collar, and this is to enable us to stitch it down neatly. Okay, so guys, this is what it will look like after tucking in that half an inch allowance that I showed you. So removing it again, this is what it looks like. So right now we are going to tuck it back in, and we are going to be sewing that allowance right there. Okay, that is the purpose of our notching earlier on. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and flip the right side of this fabric. I'm going to flip it backward like this, and I'm going to pick the allowance left on the fabric and the allowance left on the collar. You need to pin it down, and you're going to stitch it. So after stitching it, this is what it's looking like at the moment. Alright guys, so the next thing I'm going to do is to close the seam allowance, the side seam allowance, and also I'm going to go ahead and fold the hemline. Okay, I'll just go ahead and fold it the normal way we fold it. Alright guys, I forgot a very crucial part. We are going to add these details on the dress. So before even joining the side, we have to add the details so that it's very easy to, you know, sew on the fabric. So here guys, I just went ahead to freestyle with a kind of shape that I want to go with this dashiki dress. So just go ahead, you can create any shape of your choice. So just get a pattern paper and go ahead and create the shape that you want. And here guys, I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the pattern. Alright guys, so here's the pattern that I cut out, and I've already gone ahead to give it a good press. I folded in the edges, and I'll just be placing it on top of this collar, where the collar ended over there. I'm going to place it there, and I'm going to go ahead and top stitch on this piece. I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch on it directly like that. Alright guys, so you'll notice that there's a turn-up sleeve on this dashiki style, and we are going to be using this stripe of fabrics to create that turn-up effect on our sleeves. So I just went ahead to measure what we have on the sleeve right here. So I'll just go ahead and measure what we have, and when you get the measurement, it will determine the length of the stripe that you need. So this stripe is going to go all around the sleeve, and the next thing we are going to do is to fold the stripe into two and measure the sleeve round. And the next thing we are going to do is to go ahead and add seam allowance to it after you've determined the sleeve round. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and add half an inch seam allowance to this piece. I'll cut out the excess. And the next thing we are going to do is take it to the sewing machine, and that is what I have done here. I've connected the stripe, and the next thing you're going to do is to give it a good press, and afterward we are just going to fold it in like so. Okay, as you can see me do right here, we're going to fold it like so, and you can even go ahead and stitch it together so that the layers will sit correctly, it will relax. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do right here is to connect this turn up to the sleeve round, and make sure that you hold it with a pin so that it doesn't move all around. Alright guys, so here it is. I've already connected both pieces together and we're going to go ahead and sew it. And that is what I've done here. I've already gone ahead to stitch the turn up to the main fabrics, and this is what it looks like when you fold it like so. Alright, so you can see this is what it will look like before you fold it in, and then when you fold it in, you're going to have something like this, right? So we are just going to go ahead and fold it, and you're going to fold it in a way that you have some allowance inside like so, right? So that it covers the raw edges that we have inside it. All right, so I will just go ahead and do the same thing to the other sleeve right now. So I'll just fold it in just like I did earlier on. Alright guys, so the next thing I'm going to do is to tack the turn up sleeve on the main material, okay, so that it's secured and it doesn't fall off. So I'll just hold with a pin and take it to the sewing machine to tack it down. So here guys is the turn up sleeve, and I've already gone ahead to secure it. And right about now, this is what our dashiki dress is looking like guys, with all the colors popping, and it's looking so beautiful.